Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's mathematical literacy lesson. My name is Mitala Chia. With my co-presenter here, Nikwe Zulu, we will be focusing on the last part of data handling. Remember, this lesson is brought to you by Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Saibono Discovery Center. Boys and girls, we have started with data handling, We have started with data handling right on week number 6, whereby we're doing the developing of questions. And then the following week, we continued with my colleague here, Nikiwe, whereby we're doing a summarizing of data. Now, today, we'll be focusing on representing, interpreting, and analyzing the data. Boys and girls, as you look here, you must remember, data handling is part of paper 1. So once you have it all, now you know you are done with paper 1 because you have done the part of finance. I think we're only left with 1 or 2 topics that we need to cover under finance. And then we are covering the data handling, the last part today. That means you'll be done with your paper 1. You should be ready for the exams. Come June, it will find you ready. Since we'll be done with paper 1, we'll be starting with paper 2 when we reopen. We are about to go for a recess. But remember, as grade 12s, we don't have any recess because we need to practice what we have done in term 1. Now, by the end of this lesson today, we should be able to represent the collected data. We are going to represent the collected data using appropriate graphs. Read the collected data from the graphs. So the first step, we represent the collected data using the appropriate graphs. You know the graphs that you are doing. I will show you all those graphs, your bar graph, your vertical bar graph. We'll be doing the line chart, the line graph. We'll be doing the histogram, the pie chart, the scatter plots, all those. But you're still going to do them in detail, one by one, so that you get to understand it. And then also, by the end, you should be able to analyze the collected data presented in the graph. So remember, when we're doing this, when we started, we say on a data handling processes, we have step number 1, where we're posing a question. You ask a question, you want to find out certain information, but before you can find out that certain information, you must first have a question, draft a question. After having a question, then you go out now to do what? To collect the data now, which is our step number 2. You go out to collect the data which is a raw information. You go out and then you prepare the questionnaires and then you look at this. You go to the population. A population meaning representing the whole community or the whole country, like when they are doing the survey. Survey is done throughout 9 provinces, representing the whole country. We don't only do the census on one province, but we focus on all the provinces, 9 provinces. We call that a population. And then if you are only working with a population of, say, Johannesburg South, then you go to Johannesburg South, you say, okay, this is the population of Johannesburg South. Out of the population of Johannesburg South, I'm just going to sample. And when I sample, maybe I'll only focus on the learners from where? From Enadale. So that means I'll sample from the district of Johannesburg South. I will only sample learners from the schools of Enadale. Then that will be my sample. Then I will ask questions there. Then the method or the tools that I'm going to use, I will use the questionnaire, the survey, or the recording sheets, or even we have questionnaire, we have survey, we have recording sheets, we also have observations. We do that, we collect that data. After collecting that data now, remember here, it's not step number 5, but this is also part of step number 2. After we have collected that information, now what we do, we organize the data, we sort it out. And as we sort the data, remember we have a discrete or a continuous data. We have also the numerical and the categorical data. Then we sort the data accordingly. Then we draw up what? The frequency tables and the tallies. That is step number 2. When we are done with this step number 2 of organizing the data, remember we have collected the data, we have organized the data. Then last time, a week before last, we were focusing on summarizing the data. What were we focusing? The data that you have collected now. We went on now to what? To summarizing the data, whereby we are calculating the measure of central tendency, which is the mean, the median, the mode, and also the measure of spread, whereby we're calculating the range, the interquartile range, and the percentiles. Now, this week, where are we going now? This week, now we are concluding our process of data handling, and then now we'll be focusing on representing the data. And then where are we representing the data? On a graph. Which graphs are we referring to? Remember, I said we'll be focusing on the pie charts, the histograms, the bar graphs, the line graphs, and also the scatter plots. And from there, we are going to analyze. After we have represented the data on the graph, now we have to analyze and interpret that information where on the graph. We don't just draw a graph and then leave it there, but we have to do what? We have to analyze and interpret it, see the trend of what is happening through that information that has been collected. Boys and girls, as we continue, we said data can be represented using the graphs. Different graphs displays the same data. Different graphs displays the same data and can convey different messages. So selecting the graph that best represent the data is very important. You don't just select the data, the graph, the type of graph that is not suitable for the data that you have collected. So you need to know which graph is suitable for this data that I have collected and the information that I will be able to get as I will be analyzing and interpreting that graph. So we say analyzing information involves identifying and describing the trends or the patterns in the data represented in tables or graphs, and explain what is important. We are to explain what the data indicates about the question or a problem for which the data was collected for. So it means, let's take for an example, just to do this analyzing information. You collected the data about the tuck shop. Now you have information, the type of snacks that your learners or learners at your school prefer. And then what you do now, you draw a graph. Maybe you are using a pie chart to represent that data. And a pie chart, it is in segments, meaning it is divided into 100 equal pieces. Now from that pie chart, we can tell now that this number of learners or this percentage of learners, they prefer to have a soda as their drink, and which soda, the soft one, whether they prefer a Coca-Cola or they prefer a Sprite or they prefer a juice. So now we know that they prefer something, and then the type of chips that they prefer as well. So we can tell. And then when are they buying that snacks? During the break or after school or in the morning. So we can tell the trend based on what? On the graph given. We can analyze it and then come up with what? With the information when we are collecting that data. Boys and girls, another important aspect. We said data can be represented in the graphs. These are the graphs that I was referring to. The bar graph. Our bar graph, we have the vertical bars or horizontal bars, and we also have the compound bar graphs. You'll see when I go to the next slide, we are going to do those bar graphs in detail. I will show you when you talk about the vertical bar graph, which graph are we referring to, or the horizontal bars, which ones are we referring to, even the compound bar graph. Because these graphs, they are examinable. So you need to be able to draw a bar graph and also interpret it. A histogram, we have two types as well, which is a vertical histogram and also a horizontal histogram. And then from there we have a line graph. You'll see when we go to a line graph, which one are we referring to? I am not referring to just a straight line graph. It's a line graph, but it has a certain pattern. And then that pattern, you'll be able to analyze the trend as to when it is cold, people are drinking more cool, hot water, or they're drinking more coffee or tea. But once it gets warm, then they start drinking water. And then now the rate at which they were drinking Coke, or the rate that they were drinking tea, it goes down now because now it's hot and then they need to drink cold stuff. They are drinking cold water, or they're eating ice cream or whatever, any cold stuff. So now they're trying to show that they are no longer focusing on the hot stuff, your soup, your tea, your coffee. Now they're focusing on the cold stuff because the temperature has gone down. The temperature has gone up. Now it's warm. It's no longer cold. But if it's cold, the temperature goes down, and then we need to warm ourselves. And then the scatter plots. The scatter plots, we have a positive correlation, a negative correlation, also no correlation. So there are three types of scatter plots: the positive one, the positive correlation, the negative correlation, and no correlation. And then the last one being a pie chart. With a pie chart, boys and girls, remember, in the exam, you won't be required to draw that pie chart, but you'll only be required to interpret it and analyze it, but not drawing. Now, let's have a look at this one. This is our vertical bar graph. What is important with our vertical bar graph? Information that you need to know. Now, our bar graph can be horizontal or vertical, and then this one, it is our vertical bar graph. Bars are separated and equally spaced apart. If we can check, there's a space in between the bars. There's a space in between the bars. They are not touching each other, but there's a space in between. And then with this, we say bars are separated, as you can see, and then they are equally spaced apart. Not that the other bar is this thin and then the other one is this big. No, the size of the bars are the same, and then even the space between the bars is also the same. So if we can check, the thickness or the width of the bar is the same. The width of the bars is the same. Even the spacing here is the same. The spacing here is the same. The only thing that differs is what? It is the height of the bars, because now the height of the bars will represent the numbers that are collected. So we say bar graphs can display a categorical and numerical data. Bar graphs can display a categorical and numerical bar graphs, numerical data. Now, if you have a look at this one, this example, at the bottom here, we have Woolworths, Checkers, Pick n Pay, Food Lovers, Spar, and ShopRite. It means it's category of what? Of grocery stores. We are focusing on the grocery stores. And then when you look at the bars there, at the top, there are figures here. These figures, meaning it's what? It is the numerical one. Now we are talking about the numbers. So meaning it can represent a categorical and numerical data. But you must remember, the spacing must be the same. The width of the bars must be the same. The only thing that will differ will be the height of the bars. This one, it is our horizontal bar graph. As you can see, if I can turn it around, if I can just move it around, turn it this way, it's similar to what? To the vertical bar graph, but this one is horizontal. Here, now we can see here's the Spar, the Pick n Pay, and then here are the values. Remember, we said the bar graph can represent categorical and also numerical data. So this is the difference. The other one with the bar graph, maybe if I may draw it here, the bars are like this. The bars are standing up. This one is a vertical bar graph. and then this one is a horizontal bar graph. But what is nice, in the exam, they might give you the very same graph and then you interpret it, or they might request you to complete drawing the bar graph, or they might ask you to draw the bar graph. So you don't need to stress. You'll be guided as to what to do. Now, this one, it is a compound or a double bar graph. Why is it called a compound or a double bar graph? As you can see, it represents the school, this line, this dark one. We have a keynote. What is important with the compound bar graph? Remember here now, we'll have a keynote. This keynote will indicate that this dark line, it means it represents school's tuck shop, and then the light one will represent other vendors, other people that are selling around your school premises or inside your school premises. Those ladies or gentlemen who are selling food at your school, but they are not part of the tuck shop. So now, when we compare, we'll look at what they're selling, we'll look at the snack that they're selling, and then from the snack that they're selling, we'll also compare with the snacks that the tuck shop is selling. And then we are able to make comparison when it comes to the snacks for both the vendors and also the school tuck shop. This is what the compound or a double bar graph represent. And then we have also this one, what we call a stacked bar graph. On a stacked bar graph, as you can see, it's company A, company B, C, D, and E. Now, each bar represents a company. So meaning every data that has been collected for that company, it will be plotted under one bar. And then it says stacked bar graph. The stacked bar graph can be plotted either horizontal or vertical. So you need to know, once we talk about the bar graph, it can either be horizontal or vertical. And then it is difficult to interpret. Yes, it is difficult to interpret if you don't understand it. But if you can understand it, how to interpret it, you will see that it's not difficult, because each color, it also has what? A keynote. You can see that the purple one, it's a no announcement. This part, it means it represents the no announcement. And then the second one, the purple one, the plum one, it will represent what now? The followers. And then the yellow one, the yellow part will represent the leaders. And then each bar represents a whole. So like I said to you, this whole bar represents company A, and then the second bar will represent company B with the same information. So when we compare, we'll be talking about 5 companies, and then what are we talking about on those 5 companies? We have collected the same information, the no announcement mode, no announcement made, the announcement made to the followers, and also the announcement made to the leaders. For what? For 5 companies. So it means each bar will represent the entire whole. And here it's nice. If I can ask you, okay, fine, let me just finish this one, and then I will just ask a question based on this so that you have a picture of what I will be talking about. Each bar is divided into several sub bars stacked end to end. Yes, these are the sub bars stacked end to end. So it's the first bar, stacked on top of it is another bar, and then the other one is on top of it up until to the end. So it means end to end. It is divided into those bars. Now with this one, boys and girls, say for example, I want to know which company had the highest no announcement made. The highest value, as you can see here, it says number of announcements. Number of announcements. So now if I look here, which company had the highest no announcement made? So looking at this, company B, it had 8, or it has 8 no announcement made. So meaning it is the highest. And then the least one will be what? Will be company C, where it has only 3 no announcement made. And what is nice, as you can see, they are labeled, you can tell. So meaning the entire bar will represent what? A whole. 4 plus 3 plus 4, so it's 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 announcements, or yeah, 11 number of announcements were made. So the 4 was no announcement on company A, the 3 was announcement made to the followers, and then 4 was announcement made to the leaders. So all in all, it's 11. So the whole bar represents company A with those announcements. But you'll see when we go to, or when we get to the exam type questions, how the examiner asks this question. And it's so nice. This is the topic where you just need to sail smoothly because the answers are there. All that you need to do is to interpret. On this one, boys and girls, it's an example of what? Of the stacked bar graph, but the horizontal one. We're doing on the previous slide, the previous slide we did the vertical one. Now this one, it is what? The horizontal bar graph, but information is still the same. As you can see now here, it is a coal, and then oil, coal, and natural gases. Each is represented by a color. So meaning there's a key color or coding there to say the orange one is oil, and then the gray one, it will be coal, and then the blue one, it will be the natural gas. So also the examiner can ask questions based on that. Even the countries where the natural gas is consumed. So boys and girls, I'm not going to do any questions on these ones for now, but we will do it when we get to the exam type questions. Now let's continue about the histogram. Remember, with the bar graph, we said the bars they have equal spaces in between. The spaces between the bars are the same, and then even the width of the bars is the same. So the space in between is the same, even the width of the bars is the same. But now when it comes to the histogram, there is no spacing in between. The difference between the bar graph and the histogram. The histogram, there is no space in between. We say histogram, it's similar to bar graph, but histogram groups numbers into ranges. So meaning if I'm counting from 1 to 5, then like this one, it is from 22 to 23, and then the next one will start from 24 to 25. So it is continuing. It's continuous data. Remember, with a histogram, the data is continuous one, but with a bar graph, we said the data is numerical one. And then now, boys and girls, bars attached. So meaning the bars are like this. I have already explained that there is no spacing between the bars. As you can see, it's continuous. So there's no spacing between the bars. And then the height of each bar shows how many falls into each range. So now for this one, as you can see, the foot length of learners in centimeter. So now they have collected the data, and then now they're classifying it, or they're plotting it, or they're representing the data now in what? In our histogram. And then as they represent, they know that how many foot length of learners are in this category, 22 to 23. We can tell that it's three learners are in that category of 22 to 23. And then they can continue as maybe between 24 and 25. You just go to the graph there at the top, it's 10 learners. So it's easier to get the answers from the graphs. So the height of the bars, similarly to the bar graph, the height of each bar shows how many falls into that range. So in that on our bar graph, similarly, the height of the bar graph will show us how many falls under that range. So it's easier. And then histogram shows the results of continuous data. That one I have already explained. So boys and girls, it's so easy. You know, when you see the graph the bar graph that has got no space in between, the bars are touching each other, so then you know that, oh, okay, this one, it is a histogram, because now it continues. It starts from one, it goes to the next one, and the other one, and the other one, so there is no space in between. Even the width is the same. The width of the bars is the same. The width of the bars is the same. The only thing that differ will be the height. I hope you got that correct. I don't want you to make mistakes in the exam. Here is another example of that histogram. As I have already mentioned to you, that it represents what? The range. The height will represent the range in that column or in that bar. Now, looking at this one, you can see the range is 132,5, 134, 136, the weight of learners, or the weight of whatever that has been measured when they were collecting the data. So it is represented in a vertical bar graph. So here, boys and girls, answers are there. You don't need to crack your skull. So the examiner might ask you to complete drawing the bar graph. They can draw it, the complete drawing the histogram. Then what they do, they will say, okay, fine, since you have drawn this one, we have drawn this part for you, and then you complete drawing this one. So it's easier. And remember, always you'll be guided. Sometimes you'll be given the histogram. All that you need to do is to interpret the histogram. You'll see when we get to the questions. Now, let's have a look at this one now. This one, it is our line graph. A line graph is a type of graph that uses lines to connect individual points. So as you can see here, it's time of the day. It started at what? At 8, and then it went to 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Information was collected at different times. It's the temperatures in degrees Celsius. So at 8 o'clock, the temperature was sitting at 24, and then at 10 o'clock, the temperature. So they plotted the points, and then they joined them. We are saying that one, it is a line graph. And remember what I said about the line graph. What I like about the line graph is that it displays the information that changes continuously over time. So meaning you can tell the trend to say, in the morning the temperature was a bit low, but midday the temperature was at its highest, and then as the sun goes down, and then the temperature dropped from 36 to 29. So you can tell the trend that in the morning it was low, and then around 10 o'clock it went up. It went up, it was at 32. And then as the day progresses, now the temperature continuing to go up. And then by 12 o'clock, the temperature was 36. In the afternoon now, 2 o'clock, the temperature had dropped. And you find that maybe around 6 o'clock, the temperature might be here. It might have dropped. So because it doesn't stay the same from morning up until night. So in the morning it's a bit cooler, it's low, and then during the day it's at its maximum, and then in the evening it goes down. Now it's no longer the same. We can tell the trend that on day 1 this is how the temperature was, on day 2 this is how the temperature is for that particular area, if you are tracking the temperature of that area. So boys and girls, line graph, it's so nice. The points are plotted. All that you need to do, you need to check, okay, the time of the day on the independent, remember the temperature. This one is an independent value, and then this one is dependent values. So you just need to understand, you just need to interpret the graph. Here's another type of line graph. That one, the previous slide, it was only one line graph. But now in the exam, they might ask you in this similar way. They might give you a number of line graphs. As you can see, how many are there? We have Japan, France, Germany, and USA. All those line graphs are represented there. They are drawn on the graph. And then we said it displays information that changes continuously over time. So now here is just an example of the line graphs of different countries. So that means in the exam, don't expect to get only one line graph, and then you are expected to interpret it and then get the marks. Yeah, grade 11, they can get that. But grade 12, we are working with multiple line graphs. So as you can see here, it's a multiple line graphs, and they can even ask you to complete. Maybe they can draw the two countries or the three countries. Maybe they can give you a line graph for Japan, France, and Germany, and then they want you to draw the one for USA on the same set of axes. So you just draw on top of what they have already drawn. You draw the USA one. So boys and girls, here you just need to be able to use the information given to draw if you are requested to draw. But if you are not requested to draw, but you are just requested to interpret and answer the questions based on that line graph, it's so simple. If they ask you questions based on Japan, you go straight to Japan and then check, here's the line graph for Japan, the first one. How do you identify that it's a line graph for Japan? It is in a straight line. And then the one for France, it's broken lines. And then for Germany, as you can see, it is a double line. And then with the USA, there are dots at the end. So that's how you identify. So you answer questions based on what the examiner has asked. If they want information under Germany, you go straight to the Germany one. If they want answer from France, you go straight to the France one. So boys and girls, I hope, and even here, you can tell, remember we're doing the break even. So you can tell where the graphs meet here. These two graphs are meeting. Which graphs are meeting there? In 2001, it was a German and France in 2001. And then where the two are meeting, these two, here is what? It's Germany and USA. This one, it will be the three. It will be Germany, USA, and France. Not USA, it will be Germany, Japan, and France. And then here it will only be Germany and Japan. So you can tell where the graphs are meeting, which countries are meeting, and then you are able to get the information. I like this part because it's the easiest. You don't have to crack your skull, you just have to go through what is given. Then we have what you call the scatter plots. With the scatter plots, boys and girls, we say scatter plots shows the relationship between two variables. The scatter plot shows the direction and the strength of a relationship between the variables. The linear relationship is stronger if the points are closer to a straight line. Now, let me start with this one. The scatter plot shows the direction. Here's the direction. It's going up, as you can see. My points are going up when I am plotting them. And then the variable is a relationship between the math grade, the percentage, and the study time. So meaning the time that you spend studying and your grade. How is your performance versus the time you spent on the studies. So we say the linear relationship now. If the points are closer together and going up, then we say the relationship is stronger as the points are getting closer to a straight line. So we say the relationship is strong. This is our positive correlation when we talk about a positive correlation. So the positive correlation, we say it's linear relationships is strong if the points are coming closer to a straight line. So meaning if they are coming closer to a straight line and going up, we say it's a positive one. That is our positive scatter plot. I hope you understand. As you can see, these points, they are getting closer. They are going up then. They are getting closer to form what? The straight line. So it says the more time you spend on studying, the good percentage marks you'll get. So it means you spend time studying, the results are good. If you don't spend time studying, the results will be bad, will decline. As you can see, when they started, the results were sitting at 50%. For if they've studied only for less than an hour. But since they started now spending more time, spending 1 hour and above now, the results started to go up. As you can see, they continue between 2 to 3 hours, the results went up. And then 3 to 4 hours, now look at their performance, it's now sitting at 80, between 3 and 4 hours. And then if they spend 7 hours studying, between 6 and 7 hours studying, and then there's a likelihood for them to get the 100%. So that is why I'm saying the relationship is stronger. There is a positive correlation in the time spent on studies and also the results or the grades in percentage, what you'll get as a result. Now let's have a look at this one. And then with this one, we call it a negative correlation. A negative correlation, as you can see, it started at high and then it ends at 0. So it means it was high there. Now remember we said it is the relationship between the two variables. With this one, it's test results on the dependent values, and then on independent values is the hours spent gaming instead of studying. Now let's have a look at this learner. This learner, when they were spending 0 hours doing what? 0 hours spent in gaming. That means they were not playing any games, and then their performance was up there. But they started now doing what? Spending more time in what? In gaming. And then the results started also doing what? Declining. So if they spend time, 80 minutes, focusing on what? On games, not studying, likelihood of the test results to go down is very high. As you can see, the results are going down. So we say the correlation, it is a negative one, it's not a positive one. So because the less time spent on the books, time spent on gaming, it affects your results. So it means you need always to have a positive results, and I hope that's what you are doing. You spend more time on studying than on playing games on your phone. Now with this one, we call it a scatter plot without a correlation. There is no correlation, there is no link, there is no relationship between the variables. As you can see, each bullet here or each number here, it's standalone. So there's nothing, the shoe size has got nothing to do with what? With the IQ of a person. So it means I can't say just because I am wearing size 6, then my IQ is at 90 because I'm wearing size 6, and then the person who's wearing size 10 and then their IQ is at 100%. There's no correlation. It doesn't affect the shoe size, doesn't affect the IQ of a person. That's when we say there is no correlation. Let's take a simple example. People who like to drink, be it coffee, be it alcohol, be it cold drink, whatever that they're drinking, those who drink, or those who are the smokers, let's leave the cold drink or the drink, let's focus on the smokers. The smokers, they don't care the time of the day. If they want to smoke, they will smoke. If they are used to smoking 10 cigarettes a day, they will do that. So it means irrespective of the time of the day, whether it's morning or whether it's evening, there's no relationship between the time of the day and the number of cigarettes that they smoke. So if they smoke, they smoke. So that is why we say there is no correlation between the two, between the number of cigarettes spent and the time of the day. They just smoke. So everything is all over, as you can see on this graph. So everything will be all over. That is a scatter plot without correlation. There is no correlation, there's no relationship between the shoe size and the IQ. There's no relationship between the smokers, the number of cigarettes smoked, and the time of the day. Now the last one, we have a pie chart. With a pie chart, boys and girls, you won't be requested to draw a pie chart. A pie chart is a type of graph which a circle which it's a type of graph in which a circle is divided into sectors. As you can see, it is divided into different sectors, as you can see here. And then a pie chart can be used to show the percentage of a whole. Remember, when I buy a pizza, I won't buy a slice. Yes, I can buy a slice. As that slice, it will be taken out of the whole. So meaning when they will prepare the entire pizza, the round one. That has got how many pieces? 8 pieces. Then when I come and buy one slice, then they will only take one of what? One of 8 slices. So it means it was a whole, and then I only bought one portion, only one sector there, which is one slice. Then the remaining would be 7 slices. So a pie chart can be used to show the percentage of a whole. So when I combine all the percentages here, they should give me 100%, because they say they represent a whole. So it means it should give me 100%. Let's take another example. In grade 10, we used to take an orange, cut it into 4 quarters. So an orange is round, and then we just cut it into 4 quarters. I'll give you 1 quarter, the other one, and then if we combine, if I only eat 1, then 3 is remaining. I've ate 1 of what? 1 of 4. If I eat 2, 2 will remain, is 2 of 4. So, but if we can combine all the pieces, if I've given Nikiwe 1, and then give Peter 1, give Tsepo 1, and then I keep 1. So it means we each have a quarter. And then out of that, when we combine our quarters, they will give us a full orange. That is why we say it represents a whole, which is a full 100%. And it says again, NB, very important. You are not expected to draw a chart, but you just interpret it. So it means answers are already there. You're not expected to do any drawings, but you just have to do the interpretation. And what I like, it also has the key information. They're telling you that the blue one, it represents the groceries, the orange, it's clothes, gray, rent, yellow, education, blue, and so on. So each will be represented. Boys and girls, I want us now to do the exam type questions so that you get the feeling of this type of graphs that we have spoken about from the beginning. We spoke about the bar graph, the vertical and the horizontal one. I've shown you. And then we did the compound one. We did the stackable one, the vertical and the horizontal. And then we did the the histogram. And then we said also the histogram, it is vertical histogram and also the horizontal histogram. From that one, we spoke about the line graph. From the line graph, we went to the scatter plots. From the scatter plots, we did the pie chart. So we have done all the graphs. Now let's do the questions now. Let's have a look at the questions. Now it says the graph alongside shows in cents per liters. Now there is a guide, cents per liters. So they are telling us this graph, it shows what? It shows the cents per liters, the price of 3 types of fuel in Gauteng for the first 3 months of 2022. The 3 types of fuel in Gauteng for the first 3 months. Now, what is missing? As you can see here, there is information missing. The keynote, the diesel. It's the diesel. And then from the diesel, we have the LRP. And then from there, this one, I will show you the ULP. And then now the diesel, it is represented by these dots. The dotted one, the dotted graph, it represents what? The diesel. And then the LRP, it is represented. So meaning here, I can simply say, this is my diesel. And then this one, the second one, this is my LRP. And then the last one, the stripe one. Now this is my ULP. And then what I like as well, look here, they said to us, note the LRP is lead replacement petrol, and then the ULP is unleaded petrol. So boys and girls, always when you get this type of graphs, the key note will be there. The key word will be there to say this is what we are referring to. And as you can see here, it says cost per liter in cents. Cost per liter in cents. And then here is the months. So we have month number 1, which is Jan, month number 2, Feb, and month number 3, March. Now it says, let's go to the questions. Use the graph to answer the questions that follow. Name the type of graph drawn above. What is the type of this graph drawn above? We have done different graphs. So with this one, as you can see, it's a bar graph, but not the single one. And it's not, even if these bars are touching, they are touching, the bars are touching, but it is not a histogram. Why it is not a histogram? A histogram fails. It's not part of the answers. Why? Because there's a space between the bars, as you can see. So remember when we're talking about the compound, we say here it is a compound bar graph. This graph it represents a compound bar graph. Or you can also say it is a triple bar graph. Why triple? It's 1, 2, 3. Or we can say it is a grouped bar graph. They have grouped. So it means when you look at this, you can give it a name. Okay, fine. It is a compound bar graph, the one that we have done. We can also say it's a triple bar graph, as long as you say bar graph, not a histogram. We can say it's a compound bar graph, a triple bar graph, or we have a grouped bar graph, or we can say it is a multiple bar graph. Why multiple? As you can see, it's 1, 2, 3. There are multiple bar graph, or we call it a clustered bar graph, because we have clustered the January. So meaning in January we compared the 3. So we said this one, it's a plain one. The one that is fully shaded, it's it is LRP, and then the one with the stripes, it is our ULP. Now let's go to the next one. Boys and girls, you must remember the answers are already there. You just need to interpret. Let's go to the next slide. It says identify the type of fuel that has the most in February. Identify the type of fuel. Remember here we said this one, it is our diesel, and then this one, it is our LRP, and then this one, it is our ULP. Now we go to February. It says identify the type of fuel that costs the most in February. Which one is the highest in February? Looking at this one, we are in the month of February. And then looking at diesel, diesel is not the highest. It's there. Looking at 93 LRP, it's there. But when you look at 95 ULP, it's up there. As you can see, it's above what? It's above the diesel. It is also above the lead replacement petrol, LRP. It is above. So the most one, it is 95 ULP. I hope you got it, boys and girls. As you can see, so simple. I'm interpreting. They want to know the one that cost the most in February. I go to the month of February and then identify the types of petrol that are listed there, and then I can see, okay, this one is the highest. That means it's the most one. Now let's go to the next one. The price of diesel in March 2022 was 1,955.28 cents per liter. As you can see here, it is cents per liter there. Now it says write the price in rand per liter. Write the price in rand per liter. And when you look at this, you are given these prices in what? In cents. That means this is 1,955.28. It's in what? In cents per liter. And then now they want us now to do what now? To convert this cents into rands. Now what we do, we just divide. Remember, when you convert the cents to rands, we divide by 100. We simply saying 1,955.28. We divide it by what? By 100. And then we'll get our answer to be, let me use my calculator, even if I know. Remember, your calculator must always be present when you do this, even if you know, even if you can do the division off by head. But to be 100% sure, use your calculator, because we need accuracy. The examiner wants us to be accurate, not estimation. We divide it by 100, and then our answer will be 19,5528. In what? It is in rands per liters. Are we done? No, we are not done. They said round off your answer to the nearest 50 cents, or to the nearest 50. And then when you look at this, these are the digits that we are going to focus on, these four last digits. So we rewrite our 19 rand, comma. Now in our country, do we still have the 5 cents? No, we are no longer using the 5 cents. So I can round it to 19,55. Will I be correct? Will I be correct if I say 19 rand 55 per liter? No, I won't be correct, because we no longer have what? We no longer have the cents in our country. So meaning they said to the nearest 50, it will be 19 rand 50 cents per liter. I hope you got it, boys and girls. Even when you go to the shop, you know that when you pay, they always either round up or round down your amount that you need to pay when it comes to the units. If it's 19 rand 99 cent, you'll pay 20 rand. You won't get any change. If it's 19 rand 95, then they will give you 10 cents. Then you just pay 19 rand 90 cent, because there is no 5 cent. That is why we also have done that. Now looking at number 2 now. Number 2, it says use the information in the graph alongside to answer the following questions. Now, before we can even go to the questions, let's have a look at the information given. It says Mr. Duze decided to also study the crime statistics before buying the piece of land. He finds before he can buy the piece of land, he finds the following crime statistics for 2021-2022 represented in the graph below. South African crime statistics per province 2021-2022. There are the different provinces. We have 9 provinces, and then here we have the percentage of house breakings, and then this side we have the number of house breakings. Now looking at these, boys and girls, number 1, it says calculate the median number of house breakings. Remember, we have done the mean, the mode, the median. And then for us to calculate the median number, we have to arrange our data set first. So how do? We arrange our data set in what? In an ascending order from the smallest to the biggest. So now, to save time, this will be my smallest number. So it will be 21,000 followed by 44,000 and then followed by 64,000, 72,000, followed by 102,000. The next one will be 105,000, 116,000, and then followed by 204,000, the last one being 255,000. Okay, sorry, this is 255,000. Boys and girls, let's have a look. How many are there? There are 9 provinces, so it means even our figures will be 9. So they said under what? Under the house breakings. So I'm using the house breakings. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. To save time, you can see from the top going down, it is in a descending order. So I can count 1 and then say 1. 1, it's 2 there, 2 here, 3 there, 3 here, 4, 4. So it means it's 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom. Which one is my middle one? They said I must calculate what? The median number. So meaning my median will be 102,000. So simple. We have done the mean, the mode, the median. So what is important? You arrange your data set in an ascending order, and then now you get to identify the middle one. So even if I done it this way, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 102 still serves as the middle number, which is my median. Now let's move to the next one. The next one says, use the information again alongside to answer the following questions. Calculate the range in the number of house breakings. Going back to what? To number of house breakings. What are we to calculate? The range. Then I know when you calculate the range, I say the range is equals to maximum minus the minimum number. So what is my maximum number? It is 255,000. I minus my minimum number, which is 21,000. Let's quickly do the calculation. It will be 255,000 minus 21,000. Our answer is 234,000. There you go. That is our range. The maximum minus the minimum. So easy to identify. So let's move on to the next slide now. We say use the information again to get the answer. Calculate the total number of households in the Northern Cape. Now, they want to know the number of households in the Northern Cape. And then we said this entire lot represent what? 100%. So what is the percentage for the Northern Cape? It is 6%. Now what we want to know, see this 6%, it represents what? 21,000 house breaks. In where? In Northern Cape. But we don't know how many houses are there. So for us to get the number of houses, we just say 100 over 6, because now we want to know. We have the 100%, now we just want to know the 6% of that one. To say out of that 100, they've only taken the 6. And then it will be, we multiply it by the number of house breaks. And then it will be 100 divide by 6. You have done this with your teacher. The percentages, you know how to work with the percentages. And then we multiply it by 21,000. It will give us what? 350,000. So meaning there are 350,000 households in the Northern Cape. Only the 6% of it. And the 6% of it is what? It's 21,000. That is representing what? The house breaks. So they have given us the number of house breaks, but we don't know it is out of how many houses. So the total number of houses is what? Is 350,000. So boys and girls, as you can see, I'm not cracking my skull. All the answers are there. They are given. Let's move on. Now, the next one, it says, Mr. Duze's cousin stated that more than 4 provinces had a percentage of house breaking above the provincial average percentage. Verify, showing all calculations, whether this statement is valid or not. Now, how are we going to do that? We first have to arrange now. We are going to arrange our data set in what? In a descending order. Or maybe just arrange our data set. Let me put it that way. So now, how are we going to arrange? We say we start with the 7,9 in a descending order. So, okay, fine. We say that means even if I don't arrange my data set in a descending order or in an ascending order, what I have to do to find the average now, I have to find the median. So now I'll have to calculate what? The mean. Mean as the average. Remember we said sometimes the mean is called what? An average. So for us to get that average, I have to calculate the mean. And as I'll be calculating the mean, I just add these values, 7,9% plus 3,7% plus 5,8%, because I'm determining the mean, 6,1% plus 7,8% plus 5,1% plus 3,8% plus 4,5% plus 6,0%. Now, how many are they? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's quickly go to our calculator. Let's quickly add. So after we have done this, we divide it by what? By 9. Remember, we are calculating the mean because we want to know how many provinces are below the provincial average. So we have to calculate the average first. Now it will be 7,9 plus 3,7 plus 5,8 plus 6,1 plus 7,8 plus 5,1 plus 3,8 plus 4,5 plus 6%. In total, it gave me 50,7. I hope you got it as 50,7, and then we divide it by 9. The 50,7, remember what you are calculating? It is the average. We are calculating the average. And then 50,7, we divide it by the number of provinces. It's 9. And then it means our answer is what? Is 5,63. Our average is 5,63%. Now, we are going back to our statement. Mr. Duze's cousin stated that more than 4 provinces had a percentage of household breakings average, house breaking above the provincial average. So the provincial average is 5.63. So now let's have a look. How many are above 5.63? So we have 7.9, we have 5.8, we have 6.1, and then we have 7.8. We also have the 6%. So looking at this, how many now are above? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means it's more than 4 provinces, because here Mr. Jesus' cousin said more. So it means his statement is valid. Boys and girls, always you don't answer a question half. You have to do all the calculations. And as you are doing all the calculations now, you also have to write up until the end, because the question says verify, showing all the calculations whether this statement is valid or not. So it means after doing the calculation, you have to give a conclusion. So now we have checked the average. The provincial average is 6.3, and then how many households are above, household breakings are above the 5.6. Then we have counted 5 of them. So that means the statement is valid. I hope you got it correct. Boys and girls, this is where you must get the answers. And then now, let's move to the next one. Mr. Dusa stated that Western Cape is safer than Gauteng, as there were less reported cases of household breaking. Critically comment on this statement by referring to all relevant information. Now you go to Western Cape. Western Cape, it's 5.8. The percentage is high. The number of house breakings is 116. So meaning the percentage is high, but the number of house breakings is 116,000. You go to Gauteng. Gauteng, the percentage is low. It's 3.7. But the number of house breakings is 204. So meaning with Gauteng, the number of house breakings are more than the ones in the Western Cape. So you can say, just merely by looking at the number of house breakings, then we can say for Western Cape it is safer as compared to Gauteng, because Gauteng, it has 204,000 house breakings, and then Western Cape, it has how many house breakings? Only 116,000 house breakings. But when it comes to the percentages, the percentage in Gauteng is low, but the percentage in Western Cape is high. So we can say Western Cape has more percentage of a house breaking. I just need a full space here. Of house breaking, and then as compared to of house breaking as compared to GP. Western Cape has more percentage, which is 5.8% of house breaking. Let me do this way, house breaking versus the GP with what? With 3.7%. But Western Cape is safer than GP, as it has as it has less number of housebreaking. This is how you answer. This is your level 4 type question. So it means information is given there. But what you need to do, you have to give your opinion based on what is given. Remember, we said with graphs now, what we are doing, we have represented the information on a graph, and then we analyze and we interpret the graph. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, with the next slide, now we have our histogram, not a bar graph. Now we have our histogram. Now with the histogram, it says when purchasing tires from High Q, customers receive some free tire insurance. If a customer tires get irreparable or damaged, they receive a credit towards replacing them. The amount of credit they receive is shown in the following graph. Now, here, this is the amount, the age of the tires in months from date of purchase, and then less than 2 millimeter of the thread, regardless of the age of the tire, is 0%. So it means if the tire is at less than 2 millimeter thread, you know the tires, they've got these lines. So if it is this thin now, it is less than 2 millimeter, irrespective of the age, there is a 0%. So as you can see, here's the percentages. And then now, let's go to the questions. It says, maximum benefit value 6,000 per tire, including VAT, valid for 2 years. Top-up tire assurance, pay once off a cost of 20% of a tire value to get 100% cover, valid for 2 years as well. Use the above information to answer the questions that follow. Name the type of graph illustrated. We said the type of graph illustrated here, it is a histogram. We have done it. So it's simple. Why a histogram? There is no spacing between the bars. The bars are attached. The bars are touching each other, so there is no space in between. That is why it is a histogram. It's not a bar graph. 3.2, it says use the above. Okay, we have read the information. Write down the maximum benefits amount per tire. Now, let's go back to the information. As I've said to you, boys and girls, the answers are there. Now they say maximum benefit value 6,000 per tire, including VAT, valid for 2 years. So they've already mentioned the maximum benefit. Now the question says, write down the maximum benefit per tire. How? The answer is there. It's what? It is 6,000 rand. It's already there. I don't need to crack my skull. It's given. Let's go to the next one. Now the next one says, state the maximum number of months for this insurance cover. How, boys and girls? It says maximum benefits value 6,000 per tire, including VAT, valid for 2 years. Now, if they say it is valid for 2 years, the question says state the maximum number of months for this insurance cover. So 2 years. 2 years. It's similarly to what? We just multiply it by 12, which will give us what? 24 months. Because the question says maximum months, not years. So we just convert the 2 years into months. We multiply it by 12. We get our answer to be 24 months. Boys and girls, the answers are there. Let's go to the next one. The next one says, when will a customer not enjoy any insurance benefits within the insurance period? So again, here it says maximum benefit value of 6,000 per tire, including VAT, valid for 2 years. Top up tire assurance, pay once off cost of 20% of the tire value to get 100% cover, valid for 2 years. So when will a customer not enjoy? Here it says if it is less than, if 20%, so meaning you need to pay what, a 20% of the tire cost. You need to pay the 20% of the tire cost in order to qualify. So if the 20% is not paid, so if the 20% of the tire cost is not paid, you won't enjoy any benefits. If it's not paid, no benefits. So that means you need to do what? You need to pay the 20% once off, and then you'll be covered for the next 2 years. So if they're not paid, if the 20% is not paid, nothing for you. Now, let's see here. It says use the above information again. If the tires were 14 months old, what percentage a credit would Mr. R. Gumete receive? Assume, or not Miss R. Gumete will receive, assume she has not paid the top-up amount. So that means she did not pay any top-up amount, and then it is less. How much is she going to get? 0 rand. Why 0? Because they said you will only get the cover if you have paid a 20% once off. So now here it's 14 months old and she did not pay the once off, 20% once off, so she won't qualify. She won't qualify for any tire. So we are done with this one, boys and girls. As you can see, you just interpret. So it's, if it's less than 2 years and then they did not pay the once off tire value to get the 100% cover, they won't get any tire back. They won't get anything. They won't get any amount because they did not pay a top up. Now with this one, boys and girls, we are now on our stacked graph. Remember, we did the histogram, we did the bar graph, we did the histogram, we did the, now we are doing the stackable one. Now the stack graph, now it says, as you can see, remember we said the entire bar represents what? The whole information, the whole. So now here it's for Western Cape, and as you can see, remember what I said about the key note? They've given us the keynotes there to say this one is it represents the other one will represent the wood. Each segment is represented here with a certain key. That's how you identify it. Now it says identify the source of energy that is mostly used for cooking. Now looking at this one, the source of energy that is used mostly for cooking. When you look at the plain one, this one, it is the most used in all the provinces. So meaning it is what? Electricity. We say electricity. Electricity is the most used source of energy in all the provinces, because as you can see, it is the highest. Western Cape, they are using about 82, 84, 86, 88%. Western Cape is using 88% of electricity, and then Eastern Cape is also using 71% of electricity. Northern Cape, so you just read it here. We just look at this line up until there below. So meaning this one, we are referring to what? To electricity. This bar, this portion, it represents electricity. It is the one that is used mostly for cooking. Now the next one, it says use the graph alongside indicates the energy sources for cooking used for cooking in different provinces. Use the graph to answer the questions that follow. Name the province that uses the most wood for cooking. Name the province that uses the most wood for cooking. Now you go back to your graph. You look at this one. We are looking for wood because they want to know wood. And wood is represented by the lines. This one, this part is represented by wood. So for Western Cape, it's less. It doesn't even show. And then for Eastern Cape, it just uses this portion. And then for Northern Cape, it's a small one. For Free State, it's this small one. And then for KZN, it's this one. Just merely by looking at the graph, we can tell that Limpopo is the province that uses wood for cooking. Limpopo is the province that uses wood for cooking. Now, with this one, it says use the graph to answer the questions that follow. The price of paraffin fluctuates. On 3rd February 2021, the price was 764.59. It's cents, not CIT, it's cents. So this amount is in cents. So now they are telling us the price of paraffin, it fluctuates. Even now, at the beginning of March, the price of petrol, the price of paraffin, the price of diesel, they all went up. So it fluctuates. What if next month it will go down? It will depend. Now let's have a look at this question quickly. It says write down in rand the cost of 1 liter of paraffin. Now they said to us how much. It is 764. Let me quickly write it down so that I don't forget it. It's 764.59 cents. And then now it says write down the cost in rands for 1 liter of paraffin. So we said for 1 liter of paraffin, the number is 764.59. It's in cents. And then for us to convert the cents to rand, we just need to convert it to rands. And then for us to do that, we say 764.59. We divide it by 100. And then we will get our answer in rands. It's 764.59. We divide it by 100. It gave us 7 rand 6459. But now I can't be using 4 digits after the comma. It's monetary. We have to round it down to 2 decimal places. So it will be 7.65 as I'm rounding it down. Rounding it to 2 decimal places. It will be 7 rand 65 per watt per liter. Don't forget, because they said for 1 liter. So meaning 1 liter is 7 rand 65 cents per liter. Let's go to the next one. Now the next one says determine to the nearest rand the cost of 12.5 liters of paraffin. So we just want to know how much is the 12.5 liters of paraffin. So now when it comes to that one, remember we said now the cost of 1 liter is 7 rand 65. The cost of 1 liter. So it's 7 rand 65 per liter. We just multiply it by 12 liters. We want to know how much it will cost. Multiply by 12. And then as I multiply it by 12, it's 12.5, not 12 only, but 12.5. I made a mistake there. So it's 7.65. We multiply it by 12.5. And then it will give me 95 rand, 625. Because it's monetary, I have to round it to 2 places, which will be 95 rand 63 cents. And again, boys and girls, it said to the nearest rand. So do we have any cents? No. That means if it's to the nearest cent, my answer is not full, then I have to continue, write it in full. If I stop here, it means I did not answer the question, but the question says round off your answer to the nearest cent, then it has to be 96 rand. Here, where is my answer ends. This one is incomplete. I have to continue. As I was doing my calculation, it was 95 rand 63. Yes, well rounded to 2 places, but the question said round off your answer to the nearest rand. So it will be 96 rand. Why 96 rand? It is above 5. So 63, it's nearer going to 100. So it will be 96 rand. I hope you got it, boys and girls. Now let's do this last one. I hope you are enjoying the lesson so far, and we are about to conclude because time is no longer on our side. But I would just want us to do this line graph so that you get a feeling of how the examiner asks questions in the exam and what is expected of you. Now it says the graph below shows the contributions of the contributions of these 3 provinces towards the different sector 5. Now, during the 2008 to 2012 period, South Africa recorded an average growth rate of just over 2%, largely due to the global economic recession. Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Western Cape collectively contributed a significant portion to the country's growth. Write down the province that contributes the most wholesale sector. Now we must go back to what now? To our graph. And then now, our graph, it also has the keynote. Look at the keynote there at the top. The keynotes are there. Gauteng, it is represented by the broken lines. And then this one, it represents Gauteng, the broken lines. And then Western Cape, it's dotted line. And then KwaZulu-Natal, it's a line with a one dot, straight line with a dot. Now, we want to know, write down the province that contributes the most to the wholesale sector. Now you go to the wholesale sector. We are focusing on the wholesale sector. Which province has contributed the most? Now looking at this one, Gauteng is the smallest, it's the lowest, followed by KZ, and meaning the most one is what? It is the Western Cape. Western Cape is the one that has contributed the most. And then now, the second one, it says the total number, write down the total amount contributed, or the total amount contributed by the 3 provinces to agriculture was 8.3 billion. Determine which part of this amount Western Cape contributed. Now, when you look at this, boys and girls, we are talking about what? It says the total amount contributed by the 3 provinces towards agriculture. You go to the agriculture sector. You go to the agriculture sector and then you look at what? Number 1, Gauteng. Gauteng agriculture sector is below 4%. That means, remember now what you want to know, how much has Western Cape contributed towards the agriculture sector. Then we first have to get the total of the 3 provinces towards the agriculture sector in percentages. So Gauteng, it is 3%, and then Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, they are sitting at 4%. So meaning it will be plus 4% plus 4%. So the total for the agriculture is how much? It's 4 plus 4, it's 8, 4 plus 4 plus 3. So it's 11%. And out of this 11%, Western Cape has contributed. Here's Western Cape, the top one, the broken line, the small dotted one, it is at 4%. So Western Cape, it has contributed 4% of what? Of 11. 4% out of 11%. And then we multiply it by what? By the total amount, which is 8,300,000,000. So boys and girls, for us to make our life easier, then we just multiply the two. We say 4 divided by 11, and then you get your answer. You multiply it by 8,300,000,000. And then we got our answer to be 30,181,818. So it's 3 billion. 3 billion strictly goes to the Western Cape. 3 billion goes strictly to the Western Cape. 3 billion and 18 million. 3 billion and 18 million 181,000. So that is the entire amount that Western Cape has contributed towards what? Towards the agriculture sector. Let's do the last one and then we wrap up. It says, identify the sector in which KZN made 12% contribution. Now you come here, finance. We are referring now to what? To KZN. KZN is represented by this graph, this one. Now we want to know where it contributed 12%. And then finance, is it 12%? No, finance is above. And then transport, is it 12%? Yes, transport is at 12%. Wholesale, it's above 12%. Agriculture, it's below 12%. So meaning transport. Transport is the sector where KZN has contributed the same. And then name the sector that has the largest range. Now, which sector has the largest range? Now, looking at this one, the sector that has got the largest range, look at KZN here, because here, as you can see, it is below 16, it's at 15, and then the top one is just below 24, which is 23%. Western Cape, it is at the maximum of 23%, and then Western KZN is just below the 16,000. So now it says name the sector that has the largest range, which is finance. Finance is that sector. Why? Because looking at this one here, if you look at Gauteng, the lowest, it's at 9%, and then the highest is 12. It's only 3%. And then come to the wholesale, same applies. Wholesale, it's at 13%, the lowest, and then the maximum at 16. Come to agriculture, the lowest is at 3%, and then the highest is at 4%. So meaning Gauteng, finance is the only sector that has the highest range, just by looking at the two, just below the 16, which is 15, and then the maximum being 23. So if I can quickly do it, so maximum is what? It is 23%, and then the minimum is 15%. You can see there's a huge range there, the highest range. Name one province that made the most significant contribution towards the growth of the most sector. So now Just by merely looking at this. Number one, Western Cape was leading under finance. And then here in Gauteng, I mean, in the second sector of transport, it was not leading. Western KwaZulu-Natal was the one that is leading. And then you go to wholesale, Western Cape is also leading. Here is at the break even with KZN. So meaning, when you look at this information, we can tell that Western Cape is the only province. Western Cape is the only province that has contributed the most on the three sectors, because now it's only one sector under transport sector where it is below, but on the other three sectors, the finance, the wholesale and agriculture, it has been leading. Boys and girls, I've been talking for the past hour and 30 minutes non-stop, and I think you are also tired by now, without standing up, going anywhere else, sitting watching me, and I've enjoyed myself. I just wanted to finish all the questions. Unfortunately, boys and girls, time is not on our side. We have come to the end of our session, and with your teacher you can continue with these notes, you can continue with these activities and see how the examiner asks the questions based on the representing the data on a graph and how to interpret and analyze it. As you have done, you have seen the way we are answering the questions on the graph, how we are interpreting, how we are analyzing it, how we are telling that this one, it has the least, or this one, the trend is this way. That means who's leading and then who's falling behind based on the information given on the graph. And this is where you need to collect marks, boys and girls. When it comes to data handling, I am expecting you to pass it with flying colors, because it's where the marks are. The information is given. All that you need to do, you need to interpret, analyze, and then you are done. You do the calculations. We have done the mean, the mode, the median. We have done the interquartile range and then the ranges. So we have done everything. Now we have even analyzed the graph and represents the graph represent the data that you have collected on a graph, different types of graphs. And then we know that the pie chart, the examiner won't ask you to draw a pie chart, but they will only ask you to interpret it. As you can see on the slide that is in front of you, what is happening there? The examiner just wants you to interpret the pie chart, not to draw it. But when it comes to the bar graph, you can be asked to draw the bar graph or the scatter plots. You won't be asked to draw the scatter plots. You just have to interpret the scatter plots. And then when it comes to the line graph, they can ask you to join the dots, and then you draw the line graph. They will give you a portion, and then you can continue drawing the line graph. The bar graph, you can draw it. Even the histogram, you can draw. It will depend on the examiner, but as long as you remember the difference between the bar graph and the histogram, also the difference in the scatter plots, the positive correlation between the variables. If one variable increases, the other one increases, trying to the points are close together, trying to form a straight line, you say it's a positive correlation. But if now you find that one variable is up there, the other one is going down. So remember the example that we made. If we spend more time studying, then there's a possibility, high possibility of you passing your maths lit. The grade will increase, meaning your pass percentage will increase because you have spent more time studying. But if you spend more time in gaming and less time in studying, then your grades will have the negative correlation, because now you'll be spending more time in terms of playing the games and less time in studying, so that your results will go down. And then when there is no correlation, we say, irrespective of the time that the smokers, or irrespective of the time that you eat your food or you drink the water, it doesn't mean when you drink more water, you'll become slim. No, there is no correlation between what? Between the amount of liters that you drink of water and the time of the day. So if you drink water, if it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's cold. If you're a person who drinks water a lot, it doesn't mean which time of the day. you just drink your water. So if it's morning, if you drink water in the morning, or if you prefer to drink your water in the afternoon or during the day. So there's no correlation of the time, the amount of liters that you drink during the day and the time of the day. So we say there is no correlation. And then when it comes to the pie charts, we have done it. I hope you have enjoyed your lesson, boys and girls, and go and practice. I want you to nail this data handling topic, all of it. You are done with data handling, and then when you get it in the exams, during your exam, I hope it has appeared on your control test, but even during exam it will be there. We know that we are done with paper 1 topics. All the best. See you next time. Bye bye.